All right. So I guess now you understand what the plan was.
Absolutely. At Coleslaw, we talk Indianapolis Colts football.
We're going to stick to what we know, fundamentals and technique, 1% better every day.
What's going on, Colts Nation? I'm Lawrence Owen, back with you again with my boy, Loyalist. Sorry, guys, we have been out for like the last, all week. I'm sorry. It's been, I don't know, the seventh layer of Dante's Inferno here in Indiana, and it's just, I didn't think you wanted to see sweat dripping off my nose while I was sitting there talking football with you guys. So I apologize, but that's just how it went. Hopefully, the weather will be a little bit better for us to be able to do stuff like this and interact with you guys more often. Loyalist, how are you doing?
I am doing fine. I'm thankful that you didn't have us do a record because you'd had sweat dripping off, and as big as I am, it'd look like an ugly wet t-shirt contest. So none of us needed to see that. That's for sure.
Amen. Well, me as well. I mean, it is what it is, guys. Real quick, I want to shout out everybody that is in the chat already. John Davis, Truett, Tressler, Toxic is here. What's up? Marquis Beverly, what's going on? Appreciate you. Joe, what's going on, Joe? And Speed. Speed says he's still not getting notifications when we go live. That's a bit odd. Do you have the all notifications turned on? If so, then that's a YouTube thing. Hopefully they don't have me on some kind of weird situation going on.
Also, just as a suggestion, maybe unsubscribe and resubscribe and just reinitiate all that and see if that resets it. That's what I had to do a couple times.
Absolutely. Fuzzy, what's going on? Mr. Pop, I'm glad I could catch you guys live. Been a while. Appreciate you being here. So, as you see, we're going to talk about Matt Ryan and having his offseason throw-arounds, right? Very similar. Every quarterback does it during the offseason when they're not together at Colts camp, whether it be before OTAs or after minicamp, between minicamp and training camp. Quarterbacks will get with their wide receivers and such and throw around with them. This one's done a little bit differently, and I really like the way Matt Ryan is scheduled this. This is unbelievable, and I think that it's going to benefit the Colts passing game immensely. Now, Loyalist, you remember last year, right?
Oh, yeah.
Carson Wentz, even before OTAs, before even the draft happened, right? He was out there going into California and Arizona and, stuff and just throwing the football around. He'd pull in 5-6 guys at a time. We got the videos of it, right?
Yeah.
All right. But there's a difference. When you do that, generally, you're getting a whole bunch of guys together and you're throwing around with them. You don't have the time to focus on individual guys. It's the same as when you're sitting at camp, practicing at camp or during OTAs or during regular practices. You got all these guys here you're throwing around. You're not really getting the personal one-on-one connection with these guys. And when you are a brand new quarterback to a team, you have yet to get that connection with each individual guy. Right. And that's something that is so important. We talk about it all the time, where you got to get down how these guys run the routes, where they like the ball placed, their speed. So you're not throwing behind them or overthrowing them all the time. Right.
Yeah.
Or underthrowing, whatever. Carson Wentz, that was a big problem with Carson Wentz last year. You saw it a lot, even through the season. He was underthrowing, overthrowing, throwing it behind him, leading them too far, all sorts of stuff, quite a bit. Matt Ryan, on the other hand, has 3 throw-arounds scheduled before training camp this month. And those 3 throw-arounds, he's going to have 2 guys at each one. Now, I know one of them is in Ohio. One of them, I think, is in Georgia, I think. And I can't remember where the other one is exactly.
Here at home.
Here at home. Yeah. Okay. So having only 2 guys, setting it apart individually, 2 guys at a time, that means you could focus a lot more on getting to know those two individual guys, just sitting there, learning how quick they are, learning where they, lead them at, where their catch radius is, right? Because the catch radius for Michael Pittman Jr. is not going to be the same as, say, Ashton Dulin, right?
Mhm.
Or Kiki Kuti or something of that nature, or Alec Pierce. I mean, we've seen some of the videos on Alec Pierce. His catch radius might as well be the whole field. The dude just somehow is able to jump and reach out and grab wherever it's at. It's amazing. What are your thoughts when you seen the report that Matt Ryan was going to have individuals with two guys at a time? What was your thought process when you saw that?
Honestly, I was just like, okay, cool, got it, and let's keep it moving. But the thing was, you mentioned what the show was going to be about today. And so, I was sitting there thinking about it. And like you said, you get that much more. I always tell my kids, okay, whenever you do something, always do it to your best ability, and then I always tell them, you always want to work hard, but you want to work smart first. And that's what this is. This is Matt Ryan finding the smartest, most efficient way to build that bond between him and his teammates and stuff, and like you said, he's not just learning, oh, okay, this is what Michael Pittman looks like running that, right? No, he's learning about the guy, the person themselves. He's learning about, what they like and why do they like to break the route off here. And Matt, they're building up a good communication. We talk about it all the time. You got to be able to communicate. You got to be able to express yourself sometimes even without words. You guys remember watching Peyton Manning do what he did with Marvin Harrison or Reggie Whammy. It was like these guys had like mental telepathy and stuff. Well, that doesn't happen overnight, and the thing is Matt Ryan's very well established, but he's not bringing that it's my way type mentality. He's like, let's talk about it. This is what I like. This is what you like. Let's sit there and let's find what works best for us, and then fit it into, and like you said, the details of the amount of work that you can get done with two people. I mean, okay, you can sit there and imagine you're with six guys, right? And one guy says, oh, I like to do it this way. And another guy says, oh, I like to do it this way. Matt says, my point is you get all these opinions, but do you ever really come to a resolution or an answer for what it is you're going to do moving on? And that's, like you said, with these 2-on-2, you get exactly what each player and Matt Ryan find that hybrid, likes and dislikes of both of them. But yeah, it's just, to me, it just, honestly, like I said, I just sort of blew it off. I was just like, oh, okay, cool. He's throwing. That's all I wanted to hear, But then you sit there and you think about how smart he's working and how much more detailed and how more specific. Let's be honest, we talk about, last year with Carson Wentz, he was throwing it to an area of the field. Matt Ryan's going to be throwing it to the area of the guy's body. He's going to have that precise connections and stuff. And hopefully this will go a long way to helping us start off with that hot start that, man, we need it this year with the first 7 games being in the AFC.
Well, on top of that, think about this. Okay, so the amount of work that the wide receivers are going to be doing is the same as they did last offseason, right? Because, whether he brings 6 guys in and I'll throw around or 2, those wide receivers are only spending the same amount of time. But Matt Ryan is putting himself out there working more than what the wide receivers are to get that individual workout. He's going on 3 workouts where, the wide receivers are only doing 1, but he's still getting more out of those workouts himself, which is absolutely phenomenal. And you talk about the Marvin Harrison or Reggie Wayne and Peyton Manning, that's what they did all the time. Outside of practice, even during practice, they were known to sit there before and after practice or during their days off and just sit and throw around and work on one specific route over and over and over and over. So yeah, this is something that Matt Ryan is working on. We talk about this past offseason where Frank Reich's like, this guy reminds me of Peyton Manning. Reggie Wayne, this guy reminds me of Peyton Manning. We're not talking about, is he on the same level as Peyton Manning? Just some of the things that he does, right, is reminder of that specific person and the way they ran things. And that's just an amazing situation. Guys, 25 of you in here. Appreciate each and every one of you. Before you forget, please smash that like button. It helps a ton with the analytics. And, every time you hit the like button, that just means a little bit more people will be able to see this video, because YouTube be like, oh, they're actually liking this. Let's go see if others will click on here and watch them as well. So you guys are helping us out by smashing that like button and not waiting until the end of the stream to do it, because, you might forget. So thank you so much. Now that we've been in here, it's 11 minutes. This is the first time in a while that we're kind of off the subject a little bit at the 11 minute before 25 minutes into the stream. So what we're going to do is really fast, guys. Obviously, we already talked about hitting the like button, but you can also share this with your share button down there to your favorite social media. That's also another great way of doing things. And if you want to help us get more content out to you and better content, you can always donate to the channel by using the link right here in the description. It comes up. I will definitely bring it up as for instance, we've got a whole bunch of people that's already subscribed to the channel. So, over this past week. So I appreciate each and every one of you that have subscribed. Is there anything that you want to talk about so far that, we haven't really covered as of yet?
Well, I want to bring back to the Peyton Manning thing one more time. You talk about how they did it. They even did this pregame. They had this pregame ritual. And the thing was it was the details, and that's what we've heard a lot this offseason is how detail oriented Matt Ryan is. Okay, guys, during the regular season, you don't get that opportunity. You're constantly installing and changing plays and getting ready for the next team. This is the time where these guys sit there and take that time to get the fine details and be able to figure that out. And excuse me, like we were saying earlier, the thing is Matt Ryan, he's going to be more efficient because he's already had that OTAs and stuff to get an idea of who the guys are and some familiarity. So now whenever they go on these trips, like with Carson, he didn't have that opportunity. That was a lot of his main experience with those receivers last year. This year, Matt Ryan's had a lot of reps with those guys through OTAs, even though it's in shorts of tees, But now he's able to get more detail oriented, And the thing is, guys, as we sit there and we talk about all the time, continuing these drives, let's quit having to challenge ourselves on 4th and short so much this year. Hopefully we'll put Coach Reich in less of the blender as far as having to go for some of those decisions. And that's the thing. I think Matt Ryan, with these extra reps and stuff, that's where they're going to get their okay, it's 3rd and 8. Let's drop this thing 6 yards. And if we don't get it, 2 yards is a lot easier to get than 4 yards, So like I said, the detail and with everything that we've heard about Matt Ryan and what we've saw from him, like I said, I feel like this team is going to be in much, much better shape going into this season than what we were last season with Carson Wentz.
Absolutely. All right. I want to get into a question real quick. Mike Muma brings in, hey, will they bring back T.Y. Hilton? And Mike, that is an interesting question that has come up every single stream that we have done this all season. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know if they will. I don't think they will, in all honesty. When he was brought up that question in an interview about a month ago, asking, hey, are you going to go get a veteran wide receiver? He was talking about how he wanted to see, he had a lot of faith in the receivers that was there already, and he wanted to see how they were before he made a decision to go out and get a veteran. A lot of Colts fans out there right now wanting to go get a certain Washington Commanders wide receiver that, was born and raised here in Indiana. I don't think that's going to happen. From the reports out of the mandatory minicamp and out of OTAs, the wide receivers at Ryan look incredibly good, right? Talking about how Matt Ryan is teaching these guys up. Reggie Wayne is doing a great job as a wide receivers coach, and the receivers are just being phenomenal. Apparently, Parris Campbell has been the guy, right? During all off season. Now we see that every off season because Parris Campbell is Parris Campbell. He looks great in training camp and everything, and then the injury thing happened. Alec Pierce apparently is been growing as a wide receiver, and you expect that, try to get acclimated to the NFL. And Michael Pittman Jr., you got Naheem Hines out there running with the wide receivers on a consistent basis. I don't know. It doesn't look like to me, from the way reports have been, that there's anything that's going to pressure Ballard into going and getting a veteran wide receiver or bringing back T.Y. Hilton. What's your thoughts?
No, I agree with you. I mean, you sat there in last week's interview with Matt Ryan after phase 3. He was talking about how, these young receivers have limited route trees, but he was surprised with how much of the route tree that they'd already had an understanding of. So that's good news. You sit there, because that was a knock on Michael Strawn last year, and the thing was it was no fault of his own. I mean, it was what he learned in college. And the thing was there again, the OTAs were almost non-existent last year. So there just wasn't this time that they've had to develop that route tree and to develop that camaraderie again with Matt Ryan. And I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but that is so important. I mean, that is really so important for the wide receivers and the quarterback to understand, because things are not always going to go as planned. And the thing is you need to know, okay, if this route is taken away, what is your secondary move? What is it that you like to go to, And a lot of that's we know how much time Coach Reich spends in developing these play schemes and stuff. And he schemes it up to where, you got 3-on-2 in a zone and trying to capitalize on that. Well, if you've got a guy running rogue, all of a sudden the whole scheme is worthless, So this is where, like I said, these guys seem to have a little bit more development than what we thought maybe going into this thing. So that's good to hear. And if they keep showing out and, like you said, staying healthy, hopefully, stay healthy, keep, and like you said, Parris Campbell, he showed out during offseason. He showed out even during the early season, whenever he's in regular season form, until the bad luck strikes again. Michael Pittman Jr. I mean, honestly, I would feel like there's no reason. Everybody's thinking Michael Pittman Jr. is just going to be happy with what the production because his numbers were pretty stellar last year. But I would argue that Michael Pittman Jr. wants more. I mean, everything I've heard from an interview, he just sounds like he's really hungry. He doesn't want to have that whole T.Y. Hilton scenario where everybody was like, is he a number one? Is he not a number one? Michael Pittman Jr. is trying to put that question to bed early and often this year. Once again, this is how you get there, get that relationship going.
Absolutely. Guys, real quick, since we're about 20 minutes in, I guess it's time for that whole ad thing. Go check out my merch shop. There's some new stuff there. Come check out the Coleslaw merch shop. New items added every week. All sorts of items, from clothing to cups to cozies to backpacks, hats, just miscellaneous items that you can get around the house, even phone covers. Just check it out. Let me know. Send me a message. Hey, is there something that I'm missing? Feel free to ask. Have a good one. Also, go check out the Backroom Collection. You can go grab yourself this Depot or a great Jonathan Taylor one as well that is available there. And don't forget, use my discount code. This channel is proudly sponsored by the Backroom Collection. They do beautiful sports canvas art with football, basketball, baseball, and other sports themes. Special orders are accepted and autograph pieces are available. Many Indianapolis Colts sign pieces will be available beginning in November. Just use your discount code CL10 to purchase the pieces you want to spice up your living area. That's CL10. We got an interesting question here by Toxic saying, hey, is Mike Strawn forgotten? No, I haven't forgotten Mike Strawn. The issue is he's got a lot of development still to go, right? Last offseason, yes, we talked about, how big and fast this guy was, right? He was able to run streaks and catch balls over people, but there's a problem, okay? As much of positives that we said about Mike Strawn, there was just as many negatives. And some of those negatives were in worse situation spots. He did not run routes very well. He didn't get in and out of breaks very good. And he had more drops than he had catches. Okay. You got to have are really good hands to play wide receiver. And now, obviously, with Mike Strawn, I think we've talked about this probably ad nauseum this last offseason, but there isn't a better wide receiver coach in the NFL to help get your route running and your hands up to par than Reggie Wayne. All right. So we're definitely going to keep our eye on Mike Strawn this upcoming training camp. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I totally agree. And that's the thing, I mean, these throwing sessions and stuff, it's not like he's taking all, okay, but he's taking the top 6 horses, that are in the clubhouse as far as becoming that receiver 1, 2, and 3. I mean, and that's the thing. He's trying to get the reps built up with those guys. Okay, he's not going to get to everybody. He may not sit there and get a lot of reps with Strong or some of these UDFAs and stuff. That's not to say that they're not going to get their reps with them and stuff. It's just this is more detail-oriented work. This is more the guys that you think are more than likely going to get those slots. Let's spend the time with these guys. Let's spend the time with these guys that are going to help us in week 1, week 2, week 3, so that we don't have that slow start.
Yeah, Toxic. He sits there and he says, man, we got 6 receivers, 3 tight ends, 2 running backs. He's going to need like 7 throw rounds. You hit it right on the head. This is a situation where he's trying to increase the productivity with those prime guys that he's going to most likely throw the most targets to, right? It's not, he's not out there trying to work on hitting wide receiver number 8, that's still on the practice squad and get him down because he might throw to him 4 or 5 times. You want the guys that you're going to throw to 100 plus times, get those down, right? And that's what this workout is here, so that he's got guys that he feels comfortable throwing to right out the gate. And that is what he's working on. And it's absolutely important for him to get down. Marquis says that our players are better than the outside world thinks. And I'll tell you, that is exactly what Chris Ballard says, right? That is exactly what Chris Ballard says. And that's why from even the reporters, right, that were there during the OTAs, during the mandatory minicamp, were saying that, this offense looks pretty darn good right now with Matt Ryan out there throwing the football.
Yeah. And another thing to Toxic Tommy is, it's not like, okay, he's just going to have the reps with these guys and then that's it. No, these guys are going to be the vocal ones in the locker room. These guys are going to be the ones that go reach out to the Michael Straughns and the Kiki Kuti and stuff. And they're going to communicate, hey, this is what we got from Matt whenever we were working through all the reps and stuff, so it's not like these guys aren't going to glean any benefit from it. But like you say, let's focus on the guys who are going to get the bulk of the reps.
Yep. What's up, Jeremy? Appreciate you being in here. Thanks so much. Mr. Poppin has a pretty good question here. Will Hines have more snaps in the slot or in the backfield, do you think? In all honesty, I think it'll be a situation where he's going to line up in the backfield and then be motioned out. That would be the smart way to use Hines, right? Because if you just bring him out, right off the bench, bring him out, drop him in the slot, the defense is going to set for that. They're going to be like, put a cornerback or a safety on that dude, right? And that would be the smart thing to do. So you line him up in the backfield, whether by himself or beside Jonathan Taylor, and then they have to have that base formation. And then when he is brought out of that base formation in the middle of the play, setting up, they don't have time to be like, oh, no, bring that linebacker back out. We got to put a corner or a safety out there. No. You doing that way you're setting up a linebacker against Nyheim Hines in an open space on the field and get that really, really good advantage in your favor by lining him up that way. He probably will get quite a few out of the backfield as well, but I do believe that, he'll probably be in the slot or even outside, every once in a while.
That's exactly right. Because I've been watching some of the little clips and stuff. Thank you, Kevin Bowen, Zach Kiefer, and the rest of them, that they've been putting out in Colts media. And the thing is you see some of they are outside routes. They are, so that's the thing, let's not pigeonhole Nyheim into just those 2 options. You can simply, we all understand how Reich loves to mix and match his pieces. He wants all of his receivers to be able to play out of the slot and be, and the thing is Nyheim Hines is just going to sit there and give these defensive coordinators more things to think about. Okay, now Naheem's out in the Y. What are we going to do here? And stuff. So, like I said, this is everything that I've seen from Nyheim Hines and the time that Reggie Miller has spent with them. I mean, or Reggie Wayne, sorry, the other Reggie, but that Reggie Wayne has spent with them and stuff. He's really getting some of the drills and skill set that you like to see from a quote wide receiver at the running back position.
Yeah, delusional Pats fan says, will the Colts try to have that Cordell Patterson role? The Colts have Frank Reich has had that role set up since he's been here, right? It's just how much it's used, how many times it's called out of that certain play, things of that nature. But since Nyheim Hines has been here, he's used that role quite a bit. It's just a question of how often is that role going to be used, right? Is that going to, the percentage of plays called, is it going to be, 20%, 40%, 50%? You don't know. We'll find out this upcoming season. Hey, Toxic says, if Ryan has limited slots for throw-arounds, does he dare work hard with Parris Campbell? Absolutely you do.
I told you, he ain't missing a game this season. At most, too. So, yeah, you got to get them reps in.
Yeah, you can't look at your past. You got to always look towards the future. And right now, Parris Campbell is your wide receiver, too, on the team. Now, obviously, you need depth. That's why we went and got, Alec Pierce. That's why, we have what we have on the team, because you are looking at what you have currently. You don't look at, well, what ifs? What if this player gets hurt? What if this guy breaks out? No, you look at what you have right now and hope that it goes through and adjust as the team goes down through time. Need one more throw arounds for Hines and JT. I think Hines is actually going to be at one of these throw arounds. JT probably will not, and I cannot believe. Yeah, there we go. No, I clicked the wrong one. There it is. For Hines and JT probably won't get those throw arounds because, well, first off, he's dealing with an injury. And, he's missed time right now. Hines, I think, is already part of that. And let's be fair, Jonathan Taylor is going to carry the football a whole lot more than what he's going to get thrown to, right? Most people don't give throw arounds to your primary running backs, like your primary running backs, the guys, those running backs that are going to get 300 plus carries, because most of the time, those running backs, their big thing is focused on getting better at rushing with the football, right? Mm-hmm. We got ourselves, what's up? I'm going to have a hard time pronouncing that name. I apologize. Demerag.
Generous Colts fan donation. We'll just
absolutely. Thank you so much for the $5 donation. Greetings from Germany. Go Colts. Thanks for the contest, guys. I'm really excited for this defense, man. Nick Cross, Defensive Player of the Year.
Rookie, yeah.
Oh, Defensive Rookie of the Year. It's possible with that's something we haven't talked about this week. Is the surprise to us, surprise retirement of a certain strong safety on the Indianapolis Colts who decided that, he wanted to go out and, be a minister, if I remember correctly, is what he was talking about. And a lot of us didn't know about it. I think that, Ballard and Reich already knew ahead. I think he probably told them because it just makes sense considering he went out and got a few guys in free agency and then drafted Nick Cross on top of it. It just kind of seemed like he was preparing for that exact situation. So Nick Cross absolutely could be a big time player this year defensively. Well, defensive rookie of the year, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at some of the other guys out there, some generally defensive rookies of the years. I mean, we did have one. Didn't Derwin James, I think, get Defensive Rookie of the Year? And he was a safety for the Chargers. But a lot of times it's those high-end pass rushers. Now, again, Micah Parsons, I'm pretty sure he got that last year, but he was kind of a hybrid linebacker safety role as well. So, in this exact scheme that the Colts run, which is very similar to the scheme that the Cowboys run, Nick Cross could have that. But I just don't know if Nick Cross is going to get enough snaps early on, because I think that we're going to, since we are deep there and we have McLeod, I think McLeod ends up, that is his name. Yeah. I think he ends up being the starter most likely, unless Nick Cross impresses hardcore in training camp and preseason. But I think McLeod probably starts out, gets the majority of those snaps early on in the season, and Nick Cross will have to kind of get himself involved in other ways early on. He could win that spot later, but at least that's how I'm predicting it, because it's a very deep, we don't need more safeties. I think we're pretty deep at that position already.
Yeah, and let's not forget, we got Nick Cross, but then we've also got the young man out of Yale. He was drafted as a quarterback, but played collegiately as a safety. So he's more comfortable. But they're sort of, the Colts are trying to do with him what they did with Marvell Tell. As far as putting him and transferring him over to the safety position, or cornerback position. But the thing is, you hit the nail on the head. The Colts they try not to put too much burden on their rookie, no matter how. I mean, don't get me wrong. JT came out, but let's be honest, even his reps were limited considering how highly drafted he was. And
he wasn't the starter. That was right. Marlon Mack.
That's what I was saying. They didn't put all that pressure and say, here, did week one and stuff. The Reich Ballard regime is definitely different in that aspect than what we saw from Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy would plug and play with some of these guys early and often, whereas you feel like Ballard, or at least my perception of things is, Ballard likes to let these guys grow into these things, let these guys generate their own feel and find things at their own time. But I do agree. I think Nick Cross is going to get a great opportunity in here. And thank goodness that we got young Julian the Wolverine Blackman getting stronger and healthier earlier. That's going to also make this transition without Kari and stuff better, because let's be honest, he's now, get this, guys. He's the veteran Colt on the secondary, on the safety room. I know Kenny Moore's been there, but you got Gilmore and McLeod. They're all first year Colts. You sit there and you look at, like I said, we got Isaiah Rodgers, and Blackman that came in at the same time. These guys are the old dogs as far as the room goes and stuff. And that to me is remarkably crazy, because you sit there and think about it, they're all second and third year players. And it's like, really? But the thing is if Blackman's healthy, and my biggest concern with losing Kari was the communication. How hard is it for that secondary to get that communication sorted out, to get, especially with this new scheme, figure out where and who. And the thing is now with Faison, maybe there's another guy who can really help speed that up. So I think we're fine at safety position with what we have on the roster. I wish we had more of a veteran strong safety, but he would have to, that would just be a luxury, like week 1 through 6, I think, And I don't know that unless somebody really that you see that might be able to fill that void, through waivers or something. I just don't see anybody out there right now that the Colts would want to sit there and say, okay, let's make this extra commitment, because like I said, Blackman's coming back strong and healthy. You've got veteran leadership with McLeod. We've got young talent and Cross and Thomas. So, there's a lot of interesting pieces that I think will be fine. I think that the biggest thing is how's week 1 through 3 going to be in the defense, in that communication in the secondary.
Nomadic says Nick Cross has range and speed. Absolutely. And he's a good downhill tackler. But you touched on a little bit earlier, it's the scheme. All right. Coming out of college, you're a man-to-man person. Not a lot of colleges run zones a lot. Right. And zone is a heavy Gus Bradley, Matt Eberflus, whatever. It takes time to get zoned down. And that's a situation where I think Nick might take a little bit of time learning that specific scheme over just being able to play man-to-man coverage, especially in like three safety situation. I think that's his biggest bonus that Nick will have is if we're in like a three safety situation where we got three safeties on the field, he might then be lined up on a man-to-man against a running back or a tight end or something of that nature. I think that'll help him out a ton. Sorry. Toxic was talking about pass rushers generate numbers that defensive backs do not so much. Going back to the defensive rookie of the year, yeah, that there's some certain pass rushers like that one dude from Michigan that probably has the lead right now when it comes to betting wise going for the defensive rookie of the year. Go ahead, click what you wanted to click.
Oh, I was just wrong one. It moved on me. There we go. Yeah. All right, guys, we got 54 of you in here. I don't know what the likes are at and stuff, but let's please, as you guys can see, hitting those likes early and often has gotten us a nice little crowd. So let's keep this thing going because this goes a long way for us.
Absolutely.
But, this was the one I was, that one. I didn't even click it, but
I did because I know that you like talking about Bobby.
I don't. This one here says, Mr. Popham says, how much of a step forward do we think Bobby O is going to take in this new defensive system? I don't think this is much of a system-related type of thing. I think Bobby's just going to take that next step for him and as far as in his leadership and stuff, because from what I am understanding, if Bobby can lock down a little bit more on the run-stopping aspect of his game, this is going to be another one of them really tough decisions is, do we extend them? And if we extend them, how much do we offer them? Because the thing is let's be honest, Ballard, there's a curse to the Ballard picking so well in the draft and stuff is because now we're sitting there and we're looking and we got Quentin Nelson. If the Ngakoue thing works out, you've got him. So I do think Bobby's going to have a good year. The question is it going to be such a good year that he's going to price himself out of being able to be a Colt the following contract?
Landon Collins is with the Patriots. He just signed that deal, didn't he?
I do not know.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. As for Will Haley, sitting there over under 5 interceptions for Gilmore this year, that's probably about where I would put it, actually. Probably about 5. You probably get a whole lot of pass breakups, though, I think. Like a lot more. He's the kind of guy that really does like to break on that ball. What do you think, over or under?
I think under, and this isn't a knock on Gilmore, but I do think that when you look at the secondary and stuff, you remember how we were talking about, Jalen Ramsey, throw away from Jalen Ramsey. I sort of feel like Gilmore's going to have that reputation whenever you look at this secondary. I think people are going to be willing to challenge any of the other secondary defenders over Gilmore. And so, like I said, I do think that he's going to have a good year. I just think it's going to be under. I think, we're in more of a 3 and a 4 range.
Okay. Speed. I'm going to tell you, Gus runs mostly zone. Eberflus ran more man last year than Gus did. Okay. The difference is the style of zone that he runs. It's more, you call it like a sticky zone. Where, you're in a zone and you're looking back at the quarterback the whole time. But when an offensive player goes into your zone, you attach yourself to that player till they leave your zone. Whereas in Matt Eberflus's scheme, you stayed in the center of your zone and reacted to where the quarterback was looking. So a wise, good pocket quarterback that can lead you away with his eyes can really get, hurt you. Guys like Derek Carr, hurt us in that situation. A few other quarterbacks who are really good at leading a defender away, especially safeties and your linebacker, leading them away with your Tom Brady's really bad as well. So it worries me a little bit, but I get it. Joe says he really likes Curtis Brooks, the 6th round pick. What are your thoughts on Curtis?
I'm a huge fan of this young man. I'll be honest with you guys. There is, earlier we did the first, the second and third round draft picks and stuff, and I mean, this draft has got a lot of juicy little pieces. You look at Curtis Brooks. I think that he's going to be able to present an aspect to this defensive line that we just don't have. We don't have that undersized interior guy that's just going to be able to explode off the ball quick. And this is not knocking, Grover or Defoe. That's just a different style of play and stuff. And I think that he's going to be able to put a little bit of pressure. And it's a nice change of pace whenever you sit there and if you rotate them in for a Grover or a Defoe, to sit there and put that extra pressure on him. I like Curtis Brooks a lot.
Yeah, I know who it was, Joe. But the thing is, I click on it so it shows the name, so I could just say Joe or Joey because we know. And then we know when I click on you, when I say Joe, it means Joe T or Mama Joe or Joe Mama, whatever it is that you want to put up as your current thing that you got going on, man. Appreciate you being here, though. See, look at that. Both these guys are in here, and both of them are part of our Discord. You know what I could do? I could probably go ahead and drop a link to my. I haven't done that in some time, so I think I will do that. Let me bring it up. Go ahead and bring something up and talk about it while I'm doing that.
I love the idea of this Discord, guys. I'll tell you right now. You talk about an awesome place to sit there and hang out, and it all sports. I mean, it could be cricket, it could be basketball. We just got done watching the NBA finals and stuff. Hockey. I mean, all these guys. And the thing is the nice thing about our Discord is there's a lot of good conversation. We've got Patriots fans, we got Steelers fans, Joe Thornburg. We've got a lot of insight and different perspectives. And if you guys really want to sit there and have a good time and get an idea of what other teams are doing and stuff, that's a good little place to hang out and get some ideas on.
All right, I think I got her. Here we go. You can use this link that's in the description or in the chat right now. Booyah! Here we go. I'm sorry, I'm taking it off there.
That's fine.
That's the Discord link right now. You can join our Discord. There's always people in there talking, like he said. Whether it's the Stanley Cup Finals and hockey or basketball finals, which is now over. Baseball, we got baseball fans. Obviously, we talk a lot of football, NFL, college. I don't know anyone that talks a whole lot about cricket yet.
Matt can sit there and talk about some cricket.
All right, there you go. All right, man. Is there anything else in here that you want to discuss?
Yeah, that one I had pulled up from Alex Cobb. It says, it seems like Big Mo's taking the leadership seriously. He says, do you guys think that he'll have a big year, at least TD-wise?
That's interesting. Well, you're the one that
brought
it up. Go ahead.
I heard the breath, so I thought you were going to. Okay. No, for me, I think Mo is going to have a really good year because, let's be honest, Matt Ryan has a history of, balling out with these, large, physically gifted athletes at the tight end position. But I don't know that he's going to have such a stellar year with the TDs. And the reason that I say that is, we sit there on the short yardage, you're going to be looking at JT quite a bit. On the red zone type stuff, I mean, have you seen our wide receiving core? 6'3" or higher, or do not apply. So the thing is yes, I do think that he's going to be an option, but I don't know that. I guess the first thing is what are you defining as balling out TD wise? I mean, if you're looking at 4 or 5 TDs, yes, I could see that. But if you think that he's going to have an Eric Ebron type year, I don't think we'll have that because I think Matt Ryan's going to be able to spread the ball around a lot. And the thing is this wide receiving core is exceptionally large, and gifted on the physical attributes. So I do think Mo is taking the leadership role seriously, and then hopefully it's going to help because, let's be honest, outside of him, Colin Granson didn't have a whole lot of reps last season. And then after that, it's like crickets. There's no experience as far as in that locker room. But I'll tell you right now, I think Mo can sit there and take his experiences and translate them to these guys very well because, let's be honest, they're all mini Mo's in their own sort of way, whether it's, they're all large humans except for Kyle.
Yeah. does Discord talk high school football? I mean, you can discuss it. We don't really get hardcore into it. Maybe when you're talking blue chips getting into the college, where they're getting in, hey, this guy just, dedicated to going to this college or something of that nature. But it's not a focused discussion that we have a lot on because, in all honesty, okay, we got guys all over the planet in our Discord. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's difficult sometimes to really be Indiana centric, but we can. The more people we get in there, the more the more voice channels that I'll put in. Maybe I'll put in an Indiana sports voice channel in there. We get enough people in there to where we can just talk, Indiana sports and that type of situation.
But I'll tell you what, Tommy, you show up and you start talking about high school football, you'll have a lot of listeners, and then we're going to have opinions. That's one thing our Discord is not limited on, it is opinions. So, you bring it up and get a conversation going, and it will definitely fly.
Absolutely. Colts Nation. Okay, so what do you think of the Terry news? We kind of touched on it already. Terry McLaurin. I personally, I don't think the Colts are even going to go after him. As much as a lot of Colts Nation would love to see that, and I understand that you got backups of he likes the Colts. He was a Colts fan growing up. He doesn't want to be there. He's got ties to Indiana because he grew up here, and he doesn't want to be what. It's not that he doesn't want to be in Washington. It's he wants a contract, right? Mm-hmm. And I got a feeling that Washington is going to give him that contract. And I don't think Ballard's going to end up being like, especially with Matt Ryan being 37, knows that he's going to have to get a quarterback at some point soon, whether just to sit behind Ryan so he can learn a little bit. He's going to need those picks for, to go and get it. That quarterback, you don't want to destroy your future to go get something now when you already feel like, and he said it a million times, that he has a lot of faith in the wide receiving group that he currently has. So I don't see it happening. What's up?
I'm sorry. I love this man. Nomadic says I want Terry McLaurin on a Oompa Loompa now. But yeah, I would love Terry. I wanted to draft Terry McLaurin. Okay, whenever you're welcome, Alex. I wanted to draft Terry McLaurin whenever, but the thing you hit on it. If you sign Terry McLaurin to a big contract, all of a sudden, what are you sacrificing? Are you sacrificing your own line? Do you miss out on being able to re-sign Quentin Nelson? Okay, or are you going to sacrifice? I heard rumors about a trade for Kenny Moore to in place of McLaurin, and it's like, okay, now your defense is taking a hit. Now, what does Terry McLaurin give you that you don't have? Now, I understand that he's more proven in the league. I get that. Outstanding receiver. But you look at some of this young talent. Who's to say that Alec Pierce isn't going to be the next Terry McLaurin? Okay. Or who's to say that, Kiki Kuti can't come out and give, all I'm saying is you look at what we have, the less expensive pieces on our roster that we have at that wide receiver room. Okay. That may be able to become that thing. Whereas, yes, I know you're bringing in it for sure, but to bring in that for sure, you're guaranteeing that you're going to lose out on something. So that's where it's like, I'd rather roll the dice on this young. Like we've said it many times. Ballard drafts really well. Okay. Michael Pittman Jr. has really performed well. Parris Campbell, if he's healthy, there again, could he be just as lethal as a Terry McLaurin? I think he could if he stays healthy. So there's these things, and they're already on the roster. They're already factored into the equation on the salary cap. So why would I keep saying why, because I know why. Okay, everybody wants that proven wide receiver. But like I said, I think if we give this thing time to develop, and let's be honest, Ballard and Reich have seen these guys day in and day out now for 2-3 years. They know what they've got. And I just don't see that if they're that adamant that these are the guys, and whether whether it was Carson Wentz or whatever, they just weren't utilized to their fullest last year. Let's give Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's going to utilize whatever he needs to. Matt Ryan's got that leadership and he's got that understanding that he's going to be able to maximize and elevate these guys.
Absolutely. Guys, it's been 50 minutes. I appreciate each and every one of you. Skylar and Kirsten, oh my goodness. Better late than never. Love the pod. I appreciate you showing up, but you're going to end up having to click the very beginning of that timeline so you can rewatch this whole thing. But thank you so much for coming in. Anyhow, I think it's about time for us to end this. Man, if it's nice again during the nice days, maybe tomorrow we'll do another live stream or upload a video or something of that nature. We're going to do the best that we can. Again, multiple ways you can support the channel. Obviously, when you're watching our videos, please smash that like button. Helps so much. Okay. Share it to your social media. If you have a way, hey, you want to donate a couple dollars here or a couple dollars there, help us out in that way. Absolutely, man. You could do what our friend from Germany did earlier, right? And use the YouTube super chat or the gift thanks that they have when we're not live, right? Or you could use the link in the description at any time, right there where it says donations. And even if we're not on, I will be able to bring that up on the next time we go live and talk about it. So thank you again so much. Loyalist, any final words for our guys down here?
Well, I was going to say it, but I think I'd rather give Jeremy the, shout out to everybody for Father's Day weekend coming up. Hope everybody has a safe one. Sounds like at least here in our area, the temperature is going to do us all a favor and stay out of the hundreds until Monday. So I'm excited about that. Father's Day won't be nearly as miserable this year.
Absolutely. Well, it's funny. It says good job, LO and CL. Well, Colts Loyalist, and my I would be considered CL as well if you want to go by Colts law. So that's interesting. It'd be CL and CL. But thanks so much, John. Appreciate you. All right, guys, we are out of here. You go have a great weekend. Hopefully, we'll be able to talk to you again soon. And until next time, as usual, I'm Lawrence Owen, and that's Colts Loyalist. And until next time, have a good one.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.
For those of you that are worried about, the scouting and the scouting of the quarterbacks over the next couple of years, remember this past offseason when they were scouting so much for rookies for the upcoming draft, and they knew that they were short on draft picks. Morocco Brown would bring guys in. They were working 7 days a week, like 14 to 16 hours a day going through film. They will find a quarterback. I promise you. Have a good one.